Bits with Gard.
Hi, everybody. That's my time. Grow. You know, I think the enemy of growth is success. When I first started my business, I did 10 events the first year, 20 events. After that, I did 40. I worked my way up to almost about 80 events a year. And when people asked me, they said, Tim, what's your marketing strategy? And I would say, the more that I do, the busier I am. I called it momentum marketing. And I'd forgotten high school physics, which says momentum only works if you're going downhill and there's no resistance. Right? The time to sell is when you're busy. That's the best time, and that's when you need to market. The time to work on a brand new demo video is the minute you're done with your video. When you're done with your website, you do what? You start your new website. Whatever it is that you're doing, if your sales letter is great, let's write a new one. If you're going to grow, you have to challenge yourself, and you have to put yourself in situations that challenge yourself where you are not too comfortable. I told you to dangle your toes over the edge of the stage, that there are times when I will work to write funny stories over things that may not be that funny. And I will put myself in situations that I am stunned that I've done that to myself. I filled in for a friend that was ill, and I didn't know anything about the client. This is what we do, isn't it? We don't have sick leave. And he said it's a lumber mill with a client appreciation event. That's all he told me. And I'm talking about change, and I show up at the event in Dayton, Ohio, and I get there, and there are no cars out in front, and I thought I was early, and I go in. I wasn't early. I just wasn't at a place where people were driving. There were 800 Amish at a conference. And I'm talking about change to people that don't believe in Velcro. Or zippers. And I tried to tell the big sweaty guy story to a group of people that don't fly. And so I told the big sweaty guy story about the little buggies that they ride in, not knowing that the guy in the middle seat is even funnier when the buggy only seats two. We need to be able to place ourselves in situations that force us to grow. You know, I found sometimes I have to write something funny about something that's never going to be funny. I'm standing in line leaving the airport in Portland, Oregon, where I live now. And I'm standing there, and this lady says, this boarding process is so complicated. And I've heard it so many times. So I went on the plane, worked a little bit. Next time we boarded, I'm standing there, somebody says, this boarding is so complicated. And I turned around and I said, yeah, that 1 through 5, that boarding, you know, it's really a bear. And I said, I remember when there was quadratic equation boarding, and you had to show your work before you could board. And then there was Fibonacci sequence boarding, where it was row 1 and 3 and then 4. And it was difficult to explain to people. And I got on the plane, and I'm sitting there, and this guy comes running up, and he goes, that's the funniest thing I've heard in years. What we do is we want to place ourselves in situations where we can find the funny or see it, but we don't grow unless we take that ability to dangle our toes over the edge just a little bit, and then we push ourselves a little bit harder. I got on a plane coming out of Tokyo Narita Airport, and I'd given my book to everyone. I wrote a book called Just Plain Funny, Plane. I give it to flight attendants, not to be upgraded, but to be upgraded. And sometimes I'd get upgraded. And I gave it to all of them, and I went to get on the plane, and Mr. Gard, they upgraded me. They put me in business class, and I'm so excited. Business class for free, business class for free. And I go in, and where my seat is, there's duct tape around the seat. And that's never good. And there's a sign that says broke. Not broken, broke. And I'm not Conan the grammarian, but that's not proper. And I said, lady, what's broken? She said, the oxygen mask won't deploy. You have to go back and sit in the coach. And I said, there's got to be another seat. No more seats in business class. And I had to move all the way back to the back of the plane. I'm in the last row of the plane. Seats don't recline. I can touch the door to the loo without really reaching. And there's a line of people already there. I know I'm going to have a bizarre flight. Lady walks up and flight attendant says, will you sign my book? I said, I signed all 22 books. And she said, the pilot would like to upgrade you as a professional courtesy. And I said, don't toy with me. I said that I had been upgraded before and my seat was broke. And she goes, business class is full. First class is open. I'd never flown international first class. And if I was excited before, it's like, first class for free. First class for free. First class for free. First class for free. And we go in, and they open the curtains, and it's, oh. And I had my own pod. I had my own pod, and I don't know what the traditional greeting is in first class international, but I'm telling people, we got our own pods. My pod, and this guy sits next to me, and I said, we got our own pods, and he goes, this plane is 20 minutes late. 20 minutes on a journey that used to take a month. And he says, 20 minutes late, what do you think about that? And I said, I will be in my pod. A flight attendant came out, she had a tray with mixed nuts on it, and I'm thinking, woohoo, mixed nuts. It just gets better and better. And she sets a bowl next to him and goes to set a bowl next to me, and he picks it up and he goes, these nuts are cold. They're supposed to be served hot. These nuts are cold. Take them back. Take his with you. Heat his nuts up too. Heat the nuts? I would have been happy to lick the bowl out back in coach. I mean, heat the nuts. And he won't leave her alone. And finally, he's saying, you're a terrible flight attendant. She comes out. She's heated the nuts up. She sets a bowl next to him, goes to set a bowl next to me. And he wouldn't leave her alone. I thought, say one more thing. Say one more thing. And he said, I'm going to write you up. The nuts are cold. I picked the bowl up and I said, these nuts are hot. They're supposed to be served cold. These nuts are hot. Go cool them down. Take his with you. Cool his down too. And the guy looked over at me and he said, you think that's funny, don't you? And I said, I do. He didn't talk to me the whole rest of the flight. We're not going to grow if we sometimes don't meet the toxic people.